Alrighty, everybody. So we have added some beautiful assets to our game. We have a character, we have animations, we have a camera, and I had an error with my camera. My camera does not actually get that close to my character, which I don't like. The error I was having with my camera is that my main camera has a transform position that is not set to 0, 0, 0. My main camera should be at the same position as its parent game object. These transform position values are their local values. They're in reference to how far away a child is from its parent. I want this main camera to be right on top of its parent. I want this main camera to be right on top of the camera rig. I need the main camera's position to be 0, 0, 0. Now, the main camera will be right on top of the camera rig, and the camera rig is what's following the player. So now my camera's working. It's a little close. I could scroll back to zoom out. Okay. We're going to now add assets from the asset store. We're going to add simple gems and items that we're going to be able to collect to gain score or points or speed or other values. The way that's going to work is that when we touch these objects, our player code has some properties in it that you can't quite see because of my camera. Our player code has some properties in it. We have a move speed property in this player controller component. We have a move speed property. We have a jump force property. We have an extra jumps property. These properties can be changed. If I increase my move speed, it'll change how fast I go. What we're going to do is we're going to create some collectibles that change our values, that change these properties of our player controller. So let's do that now. Let's start creating some collectibles. Okay, so we're going to create collectibles. How are we going to do them visually? Let's start by getting the visual components from the Unity Asset Store. I'm going to click the Unity Asset Store button, and I'm going to find 3D models that we can use for our collectible objects on the Asset Store. I'm going to go to 3D, and we'll grab some props. Now, whenever I'm searching the Asset Store, I want to make sure to only look at free assets. And we have a beautiful pack called Simple Gems and Items. And this is going to be great for making simple collectibles. I'm going to hit open in Unity, and that opens this window, Simple Gems and Items. I'm going to click this button, and you might have to click that button again. Right now mine says import. I already have it downloaded. You guys might have to download it first. So we're going to download, we're going to import. It's going to open up this window, and then we're going to click import again. Now when we click import again, we will get a new folder in our assets folder. None of these assets are in our game yet. Let's drag some of these collectible assets into the game. Now, whenever I grab something from an asset folder, I usually want to grab their prefabs. I don't want to drag in the raw model because there might be some problems with it. I want to directly find my prefabs and drag in these prefabs. So this pack came with some things. I'm going to use a coin to increase our score. I'll use a heart to increase our maximum health. I actually like the gem heart better than the normal heart. I'm going to add a medkit to increase our current health. I'll add a gold pile to give us a bunch of points. We'll do a speed collectible that's blue to increase our movement speed, and we'll do a red speed collectible to give us double jumps, and we'll do a yellow one to give us jump height, something like that. So these will be our collectibles. Let's look at them. Let's see what they look like in game. Okay, they look pretty good. This animation came with the pack we downloaded. So all of these prefabs have a simple gem animation that makes them spin and change size. I think they're a little big though, so I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to set their scale down to 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. And I'm going to set their, you know what, let's actually set it down to 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. And I'll set their end scale to 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. And now I think they will start at 0.3 and scale up and down a little bit. Let's look at how that looks. Okay, I think these look a lot better. Now we can't collect them yet. We can't do anything with them yet. So the first thing, I can't touch these. They need to have colliders. It needs to be the case that I can touch my collectibles or else I won't be able to collect them. So to be able to touch them, we need to add a new component. If you guys were paying attention, you should know what kind of component allows two game objects to touch each other. What kind of component allows two game objects to collide? That's right, we need a collider. So I'm going to hold shift and select all of these again. And I'm going to add a component and we'll give them a mesh collider. Now these are animated and they're moving. So, and we're going to be touching them. Let's set is trigger. Actually, let's not set is trigger yet. Let's leave it for now as a mesh collider and let me see if it works. Let me test this. Okay, cool. So I can stand on top of these. I could touch them. I can do stuff with them, but we can't quite collect them yet. We're going to have to create a script so that we can collect objects. Okay, let's do that now. So I don't have a, oh, I do have a scripts folder. Okay. And I'm going to create a new script, create a script called, let's do move speed collectible. Okay, move speed collectible. So the way this collectible is going to work is if I touch a trigger, so this collectible is not going to have a start. It's not going to have an update. It's only going to run code when it's touched. We're going to use on trigger enter for that. So I just wrote on trigger enter, and now it created this whole thing, and my AI is trying to autofill me a bunch of stuff. So on trigger enter. So this code is going to run when something touches my move speed collectibles trigger, which we'll talk about in a second. Okay, so when something touches my move speed collectible, what should happen? First, we should make sure the thing that's collecting us is actually a player. So we'll say if other is the other object that's touching us, if the other game object dot compare its tag and see if that tag is player, then we'll run this next line of code. And my AI is messing me up. It's autofilling me with a bunch of extra stuff that I don't need. Okay. So something's wrong here. We are missing, or we have an extra curly brace, an extra parentheses. Okay. So if the other object is a player, then I'm going to do this. What should I do? I should look at the other dot game object dot get component player controller. So this is going to find the player controller script in the player, and I'll actually make a reference to that. I'll make a player controller player is going to equal other.gameObject.getControllerScript player. Get component player controller. Okay, so now I just have this reference player. So I could say player dot anything. Player dot, what are we changing? We're changing our move speed. So I'll say player dot move speed plus equals, yeah, let's do 2f. Fine, AI, you beat me. Player dot move speed plus equals 2f. That'll add 2 to our move speed. Now all we have to do is hit Control S to save. Make sure to save your work. If you have a yellow bar here on your code, it will not work. It's not saved. And we're going to drag this code. I should have zoomed in sooner. We're going to drag this code into our move speed collectible. Okay, let's test it out. So I have a move speed code. I have a move speed collectible. Let's call this move speed collectible. And my move speed collectible will get a new component called move speed. Now it's not going to work yet because our move speed code is looking for a trigger. A trigger is a special kind of collider that's not solid. It's only running to trigger code. Let's test that really quickly. So when I touch this, okay, it's solid. It doesn't trigger any code. I need to go into my code and I need to check is trigger. I need to go into my components in my inspector. I need to check convex because my is trigger is blocked. I need to check convex property of the mesh collider component of the move speed collectible game object. And once that convex is checked, Now I can check the isTrigger property of the Mesh Collider component of the MoveSpeed collectible game object. Now this MoveSpeed collectible is a trigger. Now my MoveSpeed collectible code will run when I touch it. It should trigger the code. Uh-oh, it's not triggering the code. Well, let's see. What is it looking for? It's looking for a compare tag player. But my player is untagged. I need my player to have a player tag, or it will not be able to trigger code that's looking for players. So I'm going to click on my player game object. I'm going to go into the inspector, and I'm going to set the tag to player. Now I'll press play, and now let's see what happens. Now I touch this, and I don't see anything happening, but as I touch it, I have a sense that I'm starting to move faster and faster, but in most games I play, we can only collect a collectible once, and then it disappears. So I think we'll add one more line of code. I'm definitely moving faster every time I touch this, so that code is working, but it should also despawn the collectible. So let's write one more line of code. Let's write set active let's write game object.set active false. There we go. And that's going to deactivate the collectible. So we're looking at the collectible. The game object is the collectible itself, and we're doing .set active false. That has to be in between these two curly braces, because it should only set itself active to false if a player touches it. The code in between these two curly braces will run if a player touches it. The code in between these two curly braces will run if something enters its trigger. So if something enters its trigger, then it's going to check if the other game object that's entering its trigger is a player. And if that's true, then it's going to create a reference to the other game object's player controller. And then it's going to set that player controller reference's move speed property to increase by 2. And then the collectible game object will set active false. It will disappear. It will despawn. Okay, let's try that. So now when I touch this blue move speed chevron, it disappears and I move faster. Great, we have a working collectible. That is awesome. Let's make some other ones really quickly. Let's make this one into a jump height collectible. The way I'm going to do that, I'm just going to copy my move speed collectible. I'm going to rename it, instead of move speed, let's do jump height collectible. We have to rename it or the code will glitch. And we'll say player dot, instead of move speed, we'll say player dot jump force plus equals 2f. That's it. Now we're changing jump force instead of jump height. Okay, cool. So now if I need to rename this to jump height collectible. Okay, and I can drag that jump height collectible onto this speed chevron, jump height collectible. I need to make sure that this speed chevron game object, first of all, I'm going to name it jump height collectible. I need to make sure this speed chevron game object is a trigger. So I'll go to its game object components. I'll find its collider component, and I will check the convex property, which allows me to check the isTrigger property. And now I think this will increase my jump height when I collect it. Let's try it. So right now I jump a little less than the first leaves on the tree. And now I jump a little more than the first leaves on the tree. I've increased my jump height with that collectible. Cool. Let's add a number of jumps. Let's give myself, unfortunately, 2 extra jumps. Let's do extra jumps. Okay. So we're going to make it a trigger, and we need to create a new script. So I'm going to copy the jump height collectible. I'm going to go in. I'll change it to extra jumps collectible, and we're going to do player dot extra jumps is increased by 2f. Now the problem is this is going to say that it doesn't convert float to integer. A float is a floating point number. An int is a whole solid full number. You just have to delete this f. Extra jumps is an integer. We can't have f on an integer. F represents a float. You'll learn these little things as you go. If you see errors like that, copy paste them into an AI and it will tell you exactly what to do. So now I have these little yellow bars. I need to make sure to save my work. I can click the save button or I can hit Control F to save. And now I have an extra jumps collectible. So now when I touch this collectible, I'll get a double jump, or in this case, a triple jump. So right now I can only jump once. Oh no, I can jump twice. So right now I can jump twice because it's a glitch. When I jump, I'm still on the ground when I jump. I need to put a cooldown into the jump if I wanted to fix that. But now I can, oh, did I not make it a trigger? It is a trigger. Oh, I didn't drag the script into it. I need to drag the extra jumps. I'll rename this script to extra jumps collectible. And I need to drag that script in to the components of my extra jumps game object. Okay, cool. Now I have these 3 collectibles. Now we have a problem. I want to make health collectibles, but my player doesn't have a health property. So we're going to have to see how to add new properties to my player. Okay, let's do that now. I want to make health, max health, and we'll say coins or money. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go to my player, and I'm going to open up my player controller. And I need new properties to change. If I want to be able to change a property, they have to be public. So I'll add a public, I'll add an int, and I'll add health equals 100. I'm going to do the same thing for max health. Public int max health equals 100. And we should use something called camel font, which just means whenever we have a new word in these name declarations, it should have a capital. We always start with a lowercase. This extra is incorrectly formatted, but I'm not going to change it. We start with a lowercase, and then each new word in a variable name, these properties are called variables. Variables save values. Each new word is going to have a capital letter. You'll hear me use words like references, variables, properties somewhat interchangeably. They mean slightly different things, but for us, they're just going to mean a reference to a number that is a property that we can change, and the number varies. It's a variable, but it's all basically the same thing. Public int, we'll have one more. We have health, max health, and let's have a score. Let's just have a score variable. Score equals 0. Okay, great. So now, when I start my game, I can look at my player, and we'll add UI for this in the next lesson, but I can look at my player, and I have a health value, I have a max health value, and I have a score value. Cool. So now I just do the same thing again. I'm going to copy one of these scripts, and I will rename it, and I'll rename it score collectible, and it's just going to change score collectible, and it's just going to change player dot score plus equals 2. Great. Now, you guys should try to add health and max health collectibles that increase your health and your max health respectively. Score collectible will go onto this coin. Actually, you know what? We're going to do a score collectible script. We're going to use the same script for this coin and this pile of coins. What we're actually going to do is we're going to create a new variable at the top of the score collectible, and we'll say public int value equals 1. And we'll say player score plus equals value. And now we have this value on our score collectible, and our player score will go up by the value of the collectible. That'll be really useful for having multiple score collectibles, because what we can do is we can put that same score collectible into these 2 separate game objects, and I could put the value of the coin to 1. I need to make sure it's a trigger. And I could put the value of this gold bar to 10, and now they're worth different amounts. They will give me different amounts of score. I can manipulate my variables in a lot of different ways to do clever things like that. Let's test them. Let's see what they do. So if I select my player, I'll be able to see all of my player's properties. My player right now has a score property at 0. If I walk over and touch this coin, now my score property says 1. And now if I walk over and I touch this pile of gold bars, my score property goes to 11. Cool. I'm going to hold off on health and max health. You guys can do it you know what? We'll do health and max health as well. So let's copy these again. Score collectible. Let's copy paste. Let's copy paste. Let's rename max health. Let's rename the score collectible. We're going to rename that to heal collectible. Okay, so max health collectible. Yeah, it'll have a value, sure. Let's do value 10. And score, instead of score plus equals value, let's do max health plus equals value, and we'll do max health collectible. Okay, that's max health done. And then let's do health collectible, and we'll do the same thing. Value will be 1, that's fine. Let's do health collectible. Let's do value 10. Value 10, player dot health plus equals value. Okay, so this will work. So we have those new codes in. We'll drag the heal collectible into this. Actually, we'll drag the max health collectible into this heart. I just think it makes more sense to me. And we'll make the heart a trigger. And the heal collectible will go onto this medkit. And we'll make this medkit a trigger. Okay, great. Now, when I touch these objects, if I click on my player, I have my health and my max health, which aren't really attached to each other right now in any kind of way. And my health will go up when I touch that health collectible. Oh, my max health, my bad. And my health goes up when I touch this medkit. Cool. We'll do more code for health and max health after we do the UIs in the next lesson, but we just created a bunch of collectibles. And we might actually do one more in-between lesson about prefabs. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. We're going to do a prefab lesson, which will be really short. This is a longer one. And then we will do a UI lesson. And then we will do a actual gameplay mechanics of health, respawning, and then maybe do enemies. But as always, email me if you need any help at lalvarez@ercsd.org. Have a great day. Good luck. Let me know if you need help.